I'm loud I am loud normally, but really loud now. Everyone can hear me all the way in the back? I see head shaking no. Yes, thumbs up. Awesome. Well, thank you. Let me start. I did bring tissues up. I hope I'm not brought to tears today, but I do suffer from very bad allergies, and I don't know what the cleaning products are used in this hotel, but they have been on fire today, so forgive me if I step aside for a random sneeze here and there. For those that don't know me, I came to Inspira through New View Trust Company. I was part of that team that built that company for 19 years. We sold it in November of 2023 to Inspira, and since then I was asked to lead the self-directed IRA business. We started that process, and we started mapping out integration on New View. We set a 12 to 18-month goal. We started building things out. And then we got a call about an opportunity from a company out of Texas. Quincy, Nathan, the whole gang there was all very good friends. I had known them for a long, long time. We started as Entrust. I sat in Quincy's office and learned UBIT from him, and we used to exchange calls on all kinds of things. So as many of you know or maybe don't know, that was a little bit of a shotgun wedding, right? There was some things that had to move very quickly. And so what we mapped out over 12 to 18 months, we in turn crumpled that piece of paper up and said, how do we make this happen on the Quest side, and how do we do it before the end of the year, right? That is not an excuse, but I want everyone to at least understand where we are. That integration process has not gone the way any of us want it. So I am a big believer in measure twice, cut once. You guys know that. We measured once, cut once, right? Now, for those of you that are familiar with that term, the idea is like, yeah, you don't want to go back and recut because it's the smallest cuts that are hardest. We are dealing with an integration challenge right now due to lots of tiny cuts that we're trying to make. So let me start by saying we own it. As the leader of the business, I own it, and the team is working around the clock. Now, that doesn't give you solace when you're on the phone waiting for someone to answer. It doesn't give you solace when you're waiting for an email response. But I can assure you, coming 20 years in this industry and coming from New View, where we ran our business a lot like Quest, I would not have taken this role for us to just become a big black hole, right? There's other things that I can do. I was part of the selling group, right? My desire to stay was to build what I believe to be the safest, most financially secure alternative asset custodian that exists. We've got the horsepower and firepower of a massive company in Inspira Financial. Unfortunately, we've stalled out. Now, I've shared this with a few of you. Unlike a restaurant, when the kitchen gets behind, eventually the customers leave, right? Everybody catches their breath, and you start the next day and say, let's be better. In our world, when the kitchen gets behind, the orders never stop coming in, right? And so the other thing is we can't just go to our sister restaurants and grab more chefs and grab more cooks and grab more servers. While they have some knowledge of those basic functions, they don't know how to cook our pasta, right? And in the alternative world, while we have 3,000 employees at Inspira and we're leveraging a good portion of those, we got to train them. We got to give them updates on the systems. We got to get them access. We got to get them vetted because we're a financial institution and we don't take that responsibility lightly. All of those things take, unfortunately, time. So believe me, if this is painstaking for you, rest assured, me and my team aren't sleeping. Don't feel bad for us, but just I want you to understand we genuinely want to do right by you as customers. For those that have been loyal New View customers for 19 years, we've serviced our customers with that exact same approach. But we are behind. I can't make any bones about it. But here's what I'm prepared to do today because I want you guys to know how much it matters to me. Grab your pen, grab your phone. You guys can write down my cell phone number. I will ask that you text me. And the only reason I ask that you text me is for a few reasons. Number one, I can copy and paste that directly to my ops team. You don't want me playing the game of telephone. My wife will tell you I'm a terrible listener. And I'm an even worse communicator, right? So if you have an issue, I need something done, I need it done tomorrow, today, I can't get a hold of someone, help. If you send me that text, it will be sent to a dedicated team to respond. 407 221 0770. 407-221-0770. Now here's what I will ask. In me saying, pour it on me, right? I will just ask, before you hit send on the text, ask, is my message conveying the appropriate level of importance? Does everyone understand what that means? Look around at your fellow investors. You're saying, I deserve to be in line in front of whomever's at your table because it's that important. If you believe that way, hit send. If you're going, you know what, the difference between this being done on Thursday or Friday doesn't change my life, but it can't be done later than Friday, convey that. Is that fair? But if you give me what you need, what the time frame is, any information that helps me help the team, right? Please don't say, this is Bill, I'm trying to make an investment, can you get it done tomorrow? Right? We have lots of bills, lots of investments. Like, please be specific, but I promise you, if you send it to me, my goal and desire is to, I hate processing, and my team can tell you this, and I preach it all the time. We cannot process based on the loudest screaming client. That's not a way to run a business. But at the same time, I also fully understand and recognize you're not trying to be a screaming client. You just want to be heard. So where do we stand today? Well, where we stand today is, thankfully, from an integration standpoint, we've checked off the boxes to meet regulatory requirements. That's important, right? Remember I said it was a shotgun wedding. We had to answer to the state of Texas, and we had to have certain requirements that were met, certain timelines, certain things. We've checked all those boxes. That's critical, right? That may not mean much to you, but understand that's an important part of the process. Everything is over, and we have a dedicated team working on some of the bugs and fixes in data discrepancies. So when you think about what that looks like, System A, System B, they were not built and designed together. So in 5 months, we did as much as we could to say A equals A, B equals B, C equals C. But when you put it all together, right, and Quest had nearly 20,000 account holders, right, like 40 or 50,000 individual assets, when you put it all together, not everything lines up. And so we have solved what we believe we call the 98%, right, which is what's the 98% of the stuff that all looks the same? We feel very comfortable that those items have been resolved. The 2%, which may affect a handful of you, especially if you're in similar types of investments, those are the ones that our team is diligently trying to track down. What's the cause? Is it missing data? Right? Do we need to go get it out of the system? Is the data in the system, but it's not displaying in the right way? But that 2% is what we're working through. So if you want to use that same cell phone number, if there's just something that this isn't pressing from a standpoint of, I need this funded yesterday, but hey, let me call this out, the more info we get, the more we can determine if we fix the problem for one or if it impacts more customers. Right? Our team is working diligently through that. We have resources coming online every day. I shared this with a few of you guys earlier. Like in our world, we kind of compartmentalize it. I'm going to use a round number of 10. Like there's 10 areas of our business. Now you may interface with 2 or 3 of those at any one time, one of them or all 10. Of those different areas, they could range from deposits to new accounts to transfers to, new purchases, right? And there's some subcompartments inside of that. We are at about what I would call 6 to 10 in stabilization. So what does that mean? It means roughly 6 of the 10 areas we compartmentalize our business, we feel stable. Now, I'll be the first to tell you stable's not good enough, but stable's better than unstable. So we have to crawl before we walk, before we jog, before we sprint. So when I say stable, that means that team is working through their case volume, right, which is how we track this stuff, in a meaningful way. It means we're not training necessarily new people. We're burning that list down. We have more stuff coming out than coming in. That's what I mean by stable, right? It doesn't mean that we're not working to get more efficient, faster, better, all of those things that are important. But when I say stable, it means that we're not looking at it from a standpoint of what else do we need to do to solve this problem. We're saying stay the course, and we have a good idea that the problem is, very near to a point of feeling like it's been resolved. 3 or 4 areas we're still in what I would call unstable. That means that if you look at any 1 week period, there could be more coming in than's going out. Now, those items are in the most technical areas of our business, deposits being one of them. And I know for a lot of you that's near and dear to you, and I totally get it, right? For me, it's like our core. People send us money, we need to deposit it. Identifying assets of where stuff comes and where stuff goes for assets from legacy account holders is new to a lot of our staff. Right? So as we bring people in, when we get a check, how we search that in our system is different than how it was searched in the former systems. So what may have been an easy check with a little bit of info for us to keystroke, that data isn't as searchable. Right? The team is working to ensure that it can be there, but when we're working in third-party trust software systems, like we don't just go say, make that easier for us. Right? We have to submit requests, it has to be mapped out, it has to be tested, and then it has to be deployed. Again, these are not excuses. I'm being incredibly transparent with you guys on where we are. But from a deposit standpoint, we recognize, I would say that's probably the biggest area that the team is focused on, but also the biggest area that's probably causing you guys the most challenges. Some of the other ones are transfers in, right? That's a big one. We do a lot of that. And so money movement, which in some ways is deposits. The new account process, thankfully, is starting to get caught up, but that's another one that we're working to get fully stabilized. That's a lot more, there's a lot more moving parts to bring an account into the system, and so making sure all that's lined up. All of that is to say, number one, on behalf of the business, I'm sorry. I wish it were easier. I wish it were better. I wish that there was not a single challenge or issue. Believe me, our team doesn't want to have to go through the process to try to fix all these things while you guys are paying the price for it, right? That's not the type of business we are. It's not the type of business we want to run. Number two, we are getting closer to stabilization across 10 out of 10. Will we be there tomorrow? No, right? If I could tell you yes with confidence, believe me, I would. Do I think we're inside of 30 days? Yes. Right? Meaning some areas already are looking much better, some areas are fully stable, some areas will be back to normal routine processing. The last item that we're really trying to kind of get to is phones. The phones are a big challenge because phone calls go up. The challenge we're having is that clients are hanging up, calling back, hanging up, calling back, and so it's hard for us to get a gauge on phone volume, and it's hard for us to get a gauge on timing of phone volume. But we had 14 new people that were added to that team to support calls, right? And we've got more people that are being trained to get those people online as well. So I know that's a little bit of an update. I'm happy to use this time to take questions. I will be as transparent as I can with all of the answers. I'm happy to transition into private lending and IRAs. I will defer a little bit to the group, but I wanted everyone to know we're here because we're committed to the business. I'm here because I'm committed to the business. You guys are the account holders. You deserve better, undoubtedly deserve better. And all I can do is continue to ask for a little bit more patience while we work through those integration headaches. And as we stabilize, if the business is not run in a way that feels, will it be Quest 2.0, NewView 2.0, and exactly the same? No, things do change in integrations, right? It can't be exactly the same. But if it's not what I would consider, pick up the phone with ease, get someone on the phone, get your questions answered, know that what you submitted has been received and that you know it'll be processed in a reasonable time frame. If we're not hitting those benchmarks, you've got my number, call me. And if anyone calls me and says, I've hit my breaking point, I have enough, I totally get it. I don't want anyone to leave. That's not the reason that we acquired the accounts, not the reason we acquired NewView. We want to grow the business and we want to do that in a way that works for everybody. But we are here to support you, and if supporting you is making it easier for you to find another custodian, I'm here to do that too. But I'll just ask that that's our last conversation, not our first conversation. Is that fair? Any questions that you guys have that are pressing? We can certainly, don't want to spend the whole time just on, answering questions. I'll be here the rest of the day. I'll stay as late as I need to today and into the evening. At some point, I do need to get home. I also run Share the Love, which is our 501c3.
Yes.
And so you guys have been incredibly supportive of that. So I do want to say thank you very much for all of the support that you guys have provided there. But we do have a board call tonight, so you'll get me in trouble. Jim gets a pass because of the event. I don't know if they'll give me a pass for not being, but I will stay as long as I need to answer individual questions, take your information, etc. But happy to answer a couple questions, and then we can get into the real fun stuff.
You want to take a couple publicly? Yeah.
Sure, happy to.
Anyone have a general question? Not like a detailed account question, maybe? Crickets? No. Who's got a question? Here we go. Thank you.
So I was a New View, Kevin Zimmer, New Jersey. I was a New View customer, happy. I don't recall ever being a Quest, although I had other custodians along the way. Do you know which platform you're probably going to evolve more towards? Like, I was used to seeing what New View had to present. Do you know if that's the direction you're going, or the Quest direction, or something entirely different? Yeah,
great question, and thank you for being a longtime New View customer. We appreciate the business and the patience as we get through this. Where are we headed? I guess sometimes it's easy to look in the rearview mirror. One of my favorite quotes is the reason why the rearview mirror is significantly smaller than the windshield, right? Look out the windshield, but glance into the rearview mirror. Where are we headed? I mean, one of the things, and just for those that don't know, I was part of the selling myself, and Glenn Mather, who founded New View, we sold the company to Inspira. And I share this because, we evaluated a handful of companies. The reason that we decided to sell the company to Inspira was a variety of things. Number one, size and scope. Inspira Financial is a massive company, but we're like a startup. We have 8 million customers. We are a health and benefits, retirement and wealth business. We're a holistic kind of health and retirement solution. We service really all forms of custody of accounts across the globe. So we have a self-directed IRA division, which is the division that I'm part of, and we're obviously talking about. We have a retirement division, which sounds like self-directed IRAs, but it's actually aimed at those that have 401k rollovers that automatically roll over. So if you leave an employer and they notify you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you've got $5,000 from when you worked here to, in December, you need to roll it over. If you ignore those, they will roll over to Inspira. Right? We are the largest automatic rollover business, I believe, in the country. We service almost all of the Fortune 500 and beyond. So, but those are automatic rollovers. They're not alternative asset driven, but the government requires that they be rolled out of those plans. So we're the repository of those. We have a health and benefits team that deals with every kind of account you could imagine, HSA, FSA, COBRA, any sort of employer-based accounts that you establish along the way. Even though your employer may be reporting it to you, you've got $400 saved in your FSA, we are likely, right, one of a handful of companies that would be the custodian of that. So we're feeding that information back. So that's the business. Under our division as well, we also have a 1031 company, which is exciting. So for those of you that are in the real estate side, we have the ability to, under the same roof, manage 1031 exchanges. So coming back to the question, Inspira as a business is continuing to grow and expand. And what I loved about what we're doing on the self-directed IRA side is it's like a blank slate. We know what we do. We know what NewView did. Inspira has their own custody business of self-directed accounts. So it wasn't like a new business, but what they have is resources. Resources that we didn't have at NewView, and resources that Quest didn't have. That means deep pockets, big technology teams to be able to go out and make big investments. We are in the process of building out, and we've been working on this, an entirely new platform. So back to the question, it's not NewViews, it's not Quests, it's not Inspiras, it's a brand new platform, right? Now, I want to be careful overselling it too soon because it's all being developed, but the plan this year is to roll out an entirely new platform for self-directed IRAs. We started some of this development work at a very small scale at NewView, so I'm excited to see this vision come to fruition. But that platform is designed to be, when we say self-service, it's not self-service like we're not here. To me, the future of this business is if we don't look like Amazon, right? Think about Amazon. You open the app, you tell it what you want, right? And it happens. And along the way, you're aware of where it goes, right? So I always kind of joke, I ask the team, how good a service does Amazon provide? Everyone's like, great service. I'm like, have you ever called them? How many people here have ever called Amazon? How many people have ordered something from Amazon? We don't want to call anymore. Let's face it, right? I love talking to people, right? I like to think we do a, call me. Well, we don't want that. We want to be able to digitally identify what our need and want is, and we want to be able to manage that all completely internally, and that's where we're headed. So I know Quest had done a really good job, Nuvio had done a really good job, but we all got to like the 20-yard line, right? The other thing is that all of the stuff that was built at Quest and Nuvio was client-facing, which means it was like you do it digitally and then we do it manually, right? This platform is all digital, meaning you put it in digitally, it goes into the same system that we operate and we move it through. So what do I envision and what are we building and what are we making major investments for, multi-million-dollar investments for, is for you to be able to not just look at your account online, not just enter some information and then wait for a phone call or an email of what to do next. It's a full end-to-end solution to not just make investments, but for your borrowers, for your tenants to all make payments so that you don't have to wait for a deposit to post to your account because someone in our office is retrieving it out of a stack of checks and figuring out why Billy or Sally's handwriting is this a 7 or is this a 1? I mean, we do this every day. It's archaic, right? I think we'd all agree. But you should be able, your tenant should be able to go in, your borrower should be able to go in, it should be automatic ACHs, all of that is part of this platform. So I'm excited for that. Our intention and goal is to get that out before the end of the year, like well before the end of the year. I can't make that commitment with full confidence, but I can tell you money's been deployed, teams are set up, they're working through it, developers are already assigned. We're about 50% of the way done with development. I mean, some of this stuff is fully into testing, so excited to see where that goes, but it is an end-to-end platform. You should be able to do every single thing you do in your self-directed account. You should be able to do from your telephone. You should be able to enter it. You should not have to wait for a call or email. You should not have to call to follow up, just like Amazon. Call us when you think you don't know what's going on, but that should be 1 or 2 or 3% of the time, not 100. So that's where we're headed and excited to get there.
Okay. All right. We're going to go into a self-directed IRA panel now. Jason, you're welcome to stay.
All right.
By the way, what's your favorite 2 or 3 self-directed IRA accounts? What type do you like personally? Jeff and Jeff, come on up.
Were you asking me that, Jim? Was that
yes, no, I'm asking you. Yes, this is part of my transition. I keep things moving.
Perfect. Mine are very simple. Roth, duh.
Bill Cook.
HSA, ESA.
Come on up.
So
Roth, HSA, ESA.
Yep.
So
all tax efficient.
They're all, well, the HSA and ESA are nice. You get both sides, right?
Yep.
Which is that why you
like
like
ESA,
those?
you don't get both sides. The ESA is like a Roth.
Okay.
But what I love about the ESA, for those that are not using it, I've got 2 kids. Every time anyone gives them money or anything, I take it and I deposit it into their account. And at the end of the year, whatever the difference is between what they got and the $2,000, I'm on the hook for.
Okay.
Super cool tool. All tax-free when it's withdrawn.
Where did Rita go? Rita?